Hello, I'm Philip Brunelle, Artistic Director and founder of Vocal Essence and organist choirmaster at Plymouth Congregational Church in Minneapolis. Today, the composer to talk about and to hear the music of is Paul Fetler, F-E-T-L-E-R. Born in 1920, died in 2018 at the age of 98. He was an American composer and was for many years on the faculty at the University of Minnesota, where among his students was Libby Larson, Stephen Paulus, and Carol Barnett. He taught at the university from the late 1950s until 1990. I was fortunate enough in those years to have him as a teacher of counterpoint. And what I still remember about Paul Fetler, I went to the counterpoint class, but you have to know that at this time I was also playing in the Minnesota Orchestra. I was the youngest player in the orchestra. I started when I was 19 and did it until I was 24. And one of the things that happened, of course, I was still going to school at the university and I needed to take counterpoint. But the counterpoint class met at the same time the orchestra rehearsals were going on. And I remember going to Dr. Fetler and saying, I need to have your class, but I'm in the orchestra. What can I do? And this wonderful man said to me, Philip, you are very good at this kind of counterpoint thing. So if you just go to the orchestra rehearsals, that is most important, but just come at the end of the quarter and take the final, which is what I did. I took the final, got an A, and did that for each of the terms. Anyway, not all teachers would let you do that, but he realized how important it was for me to be in the orchestra at the same time. Paul Fetler wrote choral pieces, orchestral pieces, which the Minnesota Orchestra performed, chamber music, and some wonderful music for guitar. He wrote an Easter fanfare back in the 1960s, and the idea was that you could have this fanfare be the introduction to the Easter hymn. But before that, it's called Easter fanfare. It was for 3 trumpets and choirs singing the text, Christ is risen, alleluia. So I'm going to play the beginning of it and then go to the end of the 3 trumpets, and you can see how nicely it leads into the congregation coming in and singing the hymn, Christ the Lord is risen today. So the trumpets begin. And then as it goes to the end, and finally it ends with some alleluias. And on to the hymn. Paul Fetler also composed a piece in 1969 in memory of Martin Luther King Jr. A text was written by the minister at Hennepin Avenue Methodist Church, Dr. Chester Pennington, a fabulous, wonderful preacher, and a preacher that I remember because in the 1960s, he was the minister there when my wife Carolyn and I were married, and he performed the ceremony. He wrote a piece called A Contemporary Psalm. And as I say, Paul Fetler set it to music. And it's the end of it that's particularly beautiful, where the text says, "Knowing beauty to be his gift, we give grace to our lives. Knowing truth to be his will, we add wisdom to learning. Knowing love to be his way, we live at peace." And so this is that closing section of a work called A Contemporary Psalm, originally a piece for organ and choir and various percussion and brass. So the organ begins. And soprano solo. And then the choir. Have a wonderful day.